the Bulldozer Matt Tremont, the 8-time Deathmatch Tournament winner, the former 2-time world champion, the owner of H2O Wrestling. And if there is one podcast to listen to, that is the Deathmatch Wrestl podcast. Let's get ultraviolet, motherfuckers.
And good evening once again, fans. You're listening to the Deathmatch Wrestl podcast. They're more than welcome to come on too anytime they want to come on.
Oh man, those girls pop good like.
Alright. It's a budget thing. Let's see what he's up to.
Thank you, man, and thank you for giving me the time.
Tune in right now. And good evening, everyone. You're listening to another episode of the Deathmatch Wrestl podcast. My guest at this time, promoter of Chicagoland Wrestling, John Bullard. How you doing?
Hey, doing good, and thank you for having me on the show. Big fan of your work.
Thank you very much. Everybody always likes a good podcast. You know, a podcast is where it's at, you know, just to get the word, just help you guys promote professional wrestling. And that's what I like, you know, no matter if it's sponsoring or just free time, and, you know, and we could do some business after as well. But we'll look at that privately in our DMs, you know, as well. But so happy Labor Day weekend, man. It's
same to you, brother.
It's going to be a nice, just relaxing weekend. There's lots of wrestling that's going to be happening. Like actually, Game Changer Wrestling is traveling this weekend to, you know, they have a big show with AIW as well. So
yeah.
So
we're slowly and surely pulling ourselves back up from this COVID-19 bullshit and trying to get back to living our lives as human beings. You know.
Yeah, I hear you, man. You know what? I've been to a couple outdoor shows and just it's not the same. You know, I can't wait till we get back indoors and do it the right way. But we're staying social and distancing, and you know that going by the rules. So hey,
absolutely.
You know.
And what I mean by bullshit with COVID-19, I don't mean I don't think COVID-19's fake. It's real. I lost a lot of good friends to it actually this year. I hate that it's ruined so many people's lives. You know,
I lost a coworker to that too. So yeah.
I'm just ready. I think everyone's just ready to go back to living a normal life as much as possible. You know, and the good thing about pro wrestling is it kind of gives us back to a little bit of that normalcy of going to shows and enjoying ourselves. So it's good to see a lot of companies are
breaking out of the shell. Yeah, breaking out of the shell and just, you know, giving it to go because they want to get out and perform. You know, it drives you guys. It drives you guys crazy because you don't know what you want to get the card scheduled. You know, you guys want to get a card scheduled. You want to get your, you know, sell tickets and get everybody to a show, you know, and have fun.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you this, John. How long has Chicagoland Wrestling been in business?
Chicagoland actually started last year. To give you a little long, I guess kind of the short story, make it easier. Been involved in the wrestling business since 2001. Pretty much worked into almost every level, as from a wrestler to referee, manager, television production. And 2012 to 2014, I ran a company back in Kentucky called Pro Wrestling Freedom. And I took a retirement, married a nice girl from Chicago, and decided, you know, I'm trying to do that family life and kind of enjoy that for a while. So took a hiatus break. In 2017, a very good friend of mine got his chance to become a professional wrestling referee. And he would call me every single day. His name was Christopher Martinez. Great guy. And he would call me, and every day he was, hey, man, going to be refereeing this show. Any advice for refs? And I would sit there and just talk to him for hours about it. And then one day he kept on asking me, he's like, well, do you want to go back into business? You want to get back into it? And at that time, I was happy, I was gone from it. Like, yeah, I love wrestling, but I'm enjoying the family life. And he kept on pestering me about it. And finally, I was like, all right, Chris, I'll come back. I'll do a one-night referee gig just to help out the guys.
Right.
What ended up happening was I got the itch. So we, me and him got together and we just started planning the idea of like, okay, so the Midwest, we have a lot of great companies that do the super indie show type stuff. You got some of the guys do the mom and pop, old school wrestling show. But not many people are doing like an old, Midwest studio wrestling type event.
Yeah.
And that's what Chicagoland Championship Wrestling kind of is. We take the modern day wrestling style, but bring back the old school montage videos and characters and the stuff that, made guys like us wrestling fans when we were kids.
Yeah.
And mix both, best of both worlds into it. Well, we were planning to have our big debut event. Chris passed away due to cancer this year. So everything we're doing is in his memory, And so April, we're supposed to have our big debut event. COVID-19 crashed it. So now October 3rd, which is coming up, is going to be our debut event for Chicagoland Championship Wrestling. We're taping the event for Amazon Prime. So anybody who's got Amazon Prime can actually watch the show. So, and our goal is to showcase the best of Midwest wrestlers, but also a lot of guys from Mid-South. Here, we've got a lot of guys from Tennessee and Florida coming up that are really, really, phenomenal talent that, they've been overlooked. But hopefully with this type of programming, it will give those guys a chance to be seen.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, like, what kind of talent do you currently have on your roster that's pretty, like, that fans would know or nobody knows?
Rocket. I got Marche Rocket. He's going to be one of our main guys. Of course, he was on TNA Impact. He's been all over the country with the Soul Touches. They're known, of course, for their time in IWA Mid-South and Shikara. Vic Capri, who's very well known in the Midwest scene. He's wrestled in Japan, Europe. He was actually one of the former traveling partners of CM Punk and Colt Cabana.
Shit. That's cool.
Yeah, so a lot of guys, and then there's a lot of the unknowns. And really, to me, like, the well-known guys are great. And to me, like, when you're building a company, those type of guys put you on the map. But it's always the underdog, unknown guys that end up becoming the biggest stars because, they're going to end up having the most to prove to the viewers. You'll hear stories about like, oh yeah, the main event of the show was great because it was like one well-known legend versus this legend. But man, that undercard, the undercard stole the show.
Yeah,
and that's how I've always noticed how wrestling was. Like, book the unknown guys and give them the opportunity, and they'll steal the show. So, and we got a host of great talent. I remember not too long ago you had a Yoya on your podcast, if I'm correct. Yoya will be on the show against a young kid named Miles Mercer. Miles Mercer, within 4 years, I'm telling you this right now, mark it on your calendar, folks, on this date, on this awesome podcast. Miles Mercer will be one of the kids that everyone will be talking about in professional wrestling within the next 3 to 4 years. Everybody will be talking about. Really good. Charismatic, can wrestle, can brawl, he can high fly, he can do it all. We have him. We have Chris Jones, who was trained by the late Billy Robinson. He's going to be on the show. Rockstar Johnny Nye. There's just so much hosted talent, man. It's going to be a really, really good show.
That's the way to do it. You just pick your good, you go in the hat and you pick who you want, and it's, you go down the list and just figure out, all right, you know what? These guys are going to be on a card tonight, and you know what? They're going to showcase and see what they have, to the fans and bring out the best, and then your current champion, your tag team title champions, and your cruiserweights, and like who's your current champion right now?
We have no champions now. Right now, none. The only one we have is the Urban Honor Crown champion, and that's Desmond DeMont, a.k.a. the Ewok. He's really good, but he's bringing that title from another company into our promotion. We will be crowning a champion, though, on the first show. We have a old school ECW style 3-way dance. We're going to have Marche Rocket versus the Shogun Chris Logan versus Garrison Creed, and that's going to be a hell of a match.
And you know what, Garrison Creed, I've heard that name float around in the pub, on social media and everywhere, and Facebook, and just hearing from friends that he's a good wrestler as well.
Yeah, it's great talent. Great talent. He looks the part, but he also can, wrestle the best of them. And, he's been traveling all over the country, too, lately. So he's getting his name out. So, he's definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So let's get into wrestling. Like, as a fan, Like, what was your first event you attended as a kid?
First event, I used to go to local wrestling shows in Florida. I'm originally a South Florida guy. And I remember going to see a lot of Southern Championship Wrestling was one of the first companies I saw. But then I remember watching Channel 44 at the time. And they were airing Eastern Championship Wrestling. That later became, Extreme. And they were doing all these events, planning to go to Fort Lauderdale, Florida for the War Memorial. And Fort Lauderdale wasn't too far away. So as a kid, I bugged the hell out of my parents. I'm like, we got to see this. This is so different. So as a kid, I used to go to like these ECW shows. And it really changed like my perspective of wrestling. It's like, okay, I've seen, old school Memphis style, which I love. I got to watch a lot of the Georgia and Mid-Atlantic stuff. But then you watch, Extreme Championship Wrestling, and you're seeing technical wrestling, high flying, brawling, the precursor to the deathmatch wrestling, the old school 90s style hardcore. And man, yeah, it was game changing. It changed the whole perspective of how wrestling could be done at a show. You don't have to have like just one style every match. You can have that vanilla, you have the chocolate, you have the strawberry, the different tastes of ice cream. And it makes it taste so much better when you have that opportunity to have that different options. So I took a lot of that style of wrestling and put it with Chicagoland. I don't see Chicagoland just doing just one style. I see it have something a little different for everybody. And that's how you draw your fans in. That's the problem with most promotions I've noticed. They want to cater to one style. And I'm like, yeah, but if your fan base ain't that niche market, you're going to lose. You got to give someone a little bit of everything.
You have to, because you know what? Then the company goes and then, you're going to throw 3 shows or 1 show and 5 shows, and you know what? You don't hear any word on it, and then it goes down.
That's true.
Shuts the doors, and then it's like, I wasted my time. Really, something I wanted to break out and bring to the table for these fans to see something different. And fast forward as a kid, what other pay-per-views have you or shows have you been to?
Growing up in South Florida during the heydays of the 90s, I got to go see a lot of WCW events. WWE used to go down there to Fort Myers and Sarasota. Go to Fort Lauderdale for Extreme Championship Wrestling. Once in a blue moon, used to get Dad to drag myself up to Tampa to see a lot of that stuff. So yeah, I was kind of spoiled, man, as a kid. I would save up my money and just doing little bicycle routes and chores and stuff. And you want to go to this event? Oh no, man, I'm saving up for wrestling. And I would just pick out on the calendars. As back in the days when all those companies would hit Florida and off. It was always up in Orlando or Tampa or Fort Myers.
Yeah, I know. TNA always had those free shows that they're, man.
The Universal Studios. Yeah.
Yes, I couldn't believe that. That was like, wow. They did that. I'm surprised they got away with something like that. Unbelievable.
Well, what they pretty much did, the base of what TNA was doing the same thing what WCW did when they went to Orlando too, because they actually would do the whole worldwide tapings on Saturday night at the theme park. So how lucky for the fans if they were a wrestling fan? Yeah, I had to go ride some roller coasters and go watch wrestling for free. It's like, you can't beat that.
Can't beat that. Buy a ticket for the park and sneak go watch wrestling. Yeah. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
But then they shut their doors. For that.
Yeah, that was more of an AOL Time Warner merger that really killed that company. But man, I'm talking about so much wasted opportunity of potential stars.
You know what? Yeah, and you know what? Last night on my podcast, and we were talking we had a fun podcast, and actually we were talking about TNA, how it really, from the past, how it really the stars with the stars. You look back at the X Division as how it was, and the original, the original ring besides the 6-sided ring, and how it is, and the matches, the cage matches, where different stars would come in, and you're like, holy shit, this is a company that really launched career,
The early years of TNA was phenomenal, and it's a shame because that formula that they had was perfect. It's like you didn't really have to bring in every ex-WWE guy. Have that homegrown roster. Have, the young junior heavyweight talent. Showcase that. It was different. Vince wasn't doing nothing like that at the time.
No,
and
when they did house shows, I was lucky to go to a couple of house shows. They're fun, man. You get like a $20 ticket, sit front row, and holy cow, you're watching guys you like on TV.
Yeah, they gave the fans an experience, and that's the thing that I feel like is missing with a lot of companies is like, okay, you go to a show and you can enjoy yourself, but nothing beats having that company coming into the fans and say, hey, would you like to go backstage and talk to the stars, or well, how would you like to do this and that? Like, you give the fans an experience, they'll never forget that, and they'll always want to come back from home.
Yeah, it's like those baseball shows they used to do. TNA tried one at my local Blue Cross Stadium, and it wasn't really meant for it. You know what I mean? Like they came in, like sometimes they bring them to a venue that, okay, or like another like other wrestling does too at ballparks. I'm sure you see that as well. They'll do that. And
ballpark shows to me are the worst ones to go to. For the simple fact is, you're so far away from the ring.
Yeah,
is that there's really no fan interaction. There's really not.
No, because you have to. Yeah, because you got to go walk up all the bleachers and where all the concessions are, and they'll have tables up there or something, or down below on the field, far away.
It's to me that the best interactions is like the bingo halls, the American Legions, the
VFW halls.
Yeah, man, that's where you actually get the real experience of being in a wrestling show, and you really enjoy
Knights of Columbuses and like lodges, Elks lodges, and just like little EMT buildings or firehouses, and
I had someone ask me about our first show, like why we're doing an American Legion. And I told him, it's like, what's the perfect way to get your experience of wrestling? It's going to be one of those, you're going to be in this intimate feeling at a show, and the lights will be dimmed, and you have that lights over the ring type feel to it. And it gives you that whole feeling of, wow, I'm actually going to go see a wrestling show, not just, I'm being in the stands, 400 yards away from the action and can't really see what's going on. It's always best when you're like, hey, I'm literally like here at 6 feet away from the ring. And it's like, that's about. That's all about the ECW events I used to go to as a kid. Like, man, you're like so close to it. You could hear the strikes. You could feel, the body slams. You actually almost feel the vibrations off the ring. And it just made you fall in love with wrestling.
And then you go to a show and you just spot the crowd. You just look around and you're like, wow, these fans are into this. They really like what they're seeing,
Absolutely.
And that's what I like about shows. You'll see that one little kid be happy or a disabled child be happy,
Yeah. And the thing is, as a former wrestler, nothing makes your night knowing that one kid will go home and that match you was in was a memory that's with them for the rest of their lives. And it's better than sex. It really is almost, because you have that magic that, hey, for one night maybe, the crowd's eating out of the hand, but that kid will forever talk about my match until the day like they're old men and say, hey, I watched that guy wrestle when I was growing up, and how freaking cool was that? For a wrestler, that's the best. That's the best stuff, man. Really is.
It is. And when you do a fundraiser show, it's for the kid or donate cancer, this and that, to help them out. And man, it's just feels good to be a part of something, and just to help out. You're there, and actually, I'm actually privileged to do a show in the same day, October 3rd. We're going to call it. It's called Standalone Wrestling presents Val's Goes to War. Val's Pals Go to War for this kid named Val, and we're bringing top superstars like Brian Cage and Ace Austin and a whole bunch of other guys from the just local guys as well.
One of the things we're hoping to do for Chicagoland in 2021 is actually do a teddy bear trip with St. Jude's Children. So that way we actually, raise money, and also on top of it, give something in return for the kids to have something to have in their hands at the hospital. So yeah, anytime you can take wrestling and you can do something good for the world, it's always the best thing.
Mm-hmm. And the turnout of the crowds, I'll tell you what, they come out. They come out.
They do.
No matter what, And like the shows that my standalone wrestling puts on, like I'll send you some footage. You'd be like, wow, this is like a cool company. Like, bringing the top stars and to pack. I was at my local one and sold out. Like, you know what I mean? You're like, oh my God, like you have a deathmatch guy coming in from Japan, like, and you got Animal, of the Warrior, Road Warriors. You're like, wow, like, come on. You don't get that. You don't get a Michael Elgin in the same room. You don't get your Brian Cage, and it's just like these guys showcasing. It's amazing.
So, I have to ask you this question then: as a wrestling fan, what do you look for at a wrestling show? Like, what makes you want to buy a ticket to see a wrestling event?
Well, it's the way that when you're a fan, you sit down. I like this. I'm a fan. I always like front row seats. No matter where I go, I try to hustle my way to the front row because I want to be I want to get in that middle seat or on the end. So what if I have an end seat or a second row seat sometimes and the show's sold out, but you know what? You're watching these guys, wrestlers go into the ring and you want to see what they have to offer. Like what kind of like style of wrestling are they going to show you here? Like old school wrestling, like you said, hybrid wrestling, hardcore wrestling, just like a different genre of wrestling that's progressed over the years, and it's just different styles to showcase what they can do and and bring to the table and rise to the next level, and get to be the champion of the company, and to move on to another company and to another, just bring it all to the table, all to the ring.
Yeah,
just
that's enough.
In lights, camera, action, it's go time.
Nothing beats when you actually see the ring announcer come out to the ring, and you instantly know, like, all right, we're about to begin, and it gives that little rush to it. At least it does for me. I always love when I see that coming. I'm like, we're about to begin. This is going to get good. So
yeah, I mean, it's like my friend who's in that a former Ring of Honor announcer. His name's Larry Legend, and man, he'll really get the crowd going to like you're like, wow, this guy definitely is the business of wrestling. Like he knows how to get on the mic and get your attention, and then share it to social media. Like he really will tell you. Check it out on Fight TV right now. Go to IWTV, log on to Twitter, and just get your attention and be at a show and be like, come on, it's time to have fun. Let's get the show's about to go down. It's going to be a great night.
It's one of the things that, I've been lucky over the years when I got into the wrestling business, the different jobs I've had in the business itself, that, you kind of learn the importance of every role. And a lot of guys will overlook a ring announcer. But your ring announcer is single-handedly one of the most important people on your roster because they're the face of the company. They're seen more than anybody else because they're the ones constantly talking to the fans. They're constantly got to put over your sponsors. They got to look presentable. It's a lot of work being a good ring announcer. A lot of guys just think, anybody can just get a hold of the microphone and do it. But, it's those guys with the certain voices. And there's some pretty talented female ring announcers too.
Oh, there really are. Like I mean, don't get me wrong. Like there's some ladies that have really started to shine in like local little promotions. Like they're just getting their foot in the door to get.
But yeah, it's such an important role.
But not only them. Referees also have the role. We always have to acknowledge that they they do what we what they're told, to show
and a good referee can make a mediocre match look great, and a bad referee can take a great match look like complete garbage if you're not careful. So the role of a referee is highly important. That's another thing that a lot of independent promotions will overlook. Like, hey, we'll put the the stripes on anybody. And it's like, you want to make sure you put on someone who knows what they're doing.
And you look nowadays at wrestling, and you look on your TV, and you'll see like these people have been on TV. I'll give an example, like Bryce Rumsberg from Bryce from Chikara. You got Kid Ref Christian, who's been on TNA, everywhere. He's just like, that's amazing. Like, these guys have been, waiting for the moment, and they get it,
Oh yeah, I remember when Jason Ayers, he now works for WWE. Remember, he was working all over Indiana and Chicago area for Evolve and Dragon Gate and all these companies, and see him now on television is like one of the coolest things ever. It's like, it could happen to a better guy. He's one of the nicest guys ever.
To see tell you what,
awesome.
Dragon Gate and Evolve really was a pretty cool. Those companies took off too. Don't even see them as much as like we used to. It's like, wow.
Well, you heard what happened with Evolve.
No, what did they do?
Evolve got bought out. WWE bought them out, and Gabe Spolsky, who was the head of creative for Evolve, he posted this week, if I'm right, that he's done with the business. So, yeah, I'm right there with you on that. I was like, man, that's a lot of talent that was part of that company, and hopefully the guys that were still part of that show will get the chance to be showcased somewhere better. So yeah, I'm with you. It's this company, Evolve and Dragon Gate USA, both was fantastic products to watch. Really was.
It's a shame. It's a shame, but they move on. We got other companies that are rising again. There's so many companies that are like catching our eye. It's like, wow, these little promotions are turning out to be bigger and better things. They
are.
And then the future's bright. We'll see what happens. Like 2021, it's going to be a bigger, stride of indie promotions as well.
Yeah, I think right now we're going to see within the next 2 to 5 years, we're going to see a lot more of the companies work together, which is a good thing. It's beneficial for promoters to actually open communication with other promoters, but also see so much amazing group of talent getting to work together and put on these super shows and all this stuff. I mean, I tried to open up the communication with a lot of the promoters in Chicago because I'm in Northwest Indiana. So anytime I got talent, I'm planning to book, I'll contact the other promoters and ask them, like, hey, you have this guy for this state? No? All right, cool. He's booked. I just want to make sure. And if they have someone that they want me to work with, sure, send them my way. I'll work with them. No problem. And I think with that, with the communication with social media, getting larger now, more prevalent with how wrestling is being done. It's like, back in the days when, hey, if you're not on cable television, no one won't know who you are. And who would ever think that social media, when it first started out, would be such a game-changing experience for wrestling shows? Remember when YouTube
and MySpace and MySpace and AOL.
Yeah, I remember when YouTube first came out, and everybody's like, "Oh, wrestling on YouTube? No one ain't gonna watch that." And then you turn around and watch, like, "Hey, this one match highlight got like 4,000 views within like an hour," and instantly you're like, oh, "Maybe there's something to this,"
And then you had companies that actually had like little chat little boxes. You would get into a chat room and talk with friends and be like, "Hey, this promotion really did something." And it's like me, because I belong to a company that was actually, I've been going for years. It's called Jersey All Pro Wrestling, and they've been around for a long time.
Yeah, Fat Frank used to run Jersey. Yeah, great guy, man.
Yeah.
And, that was that was like one of the first super leagues I remember. Jersey All Pro and ECWA, when they used to bring all those Super 8 tournaments. So, love those shows.
Yeah, that tournament's still going on. Still, that ECWA is still bringing the tournament, which is really good. nowadays. But yeah, man, I remember getting those chat rooms like as a fan, like, all right, who am I? Deathmatch Russell, or some character, and just gotta get in front row seats with all these guys and just being a fan club and just just get your friends together and go to a show and just it was something special every time. Like you know what, I'll tell you what. First experience going to one of those shows, it was an anniversary show, and it was actually the 7th year anniversary. If I remember, I'm sitting up in the nosebleeds in the bleachers, right in the middle row, way up top. Well, guess who's up there? Jay Lethal's father.
Wow.
And his dad got slapped by another wrestler, and it was just great. You see the moment where he's tumbling down the stairs, the kid, and then you fast forward and sitting ringside, and you're like, wow, now you know what, this is going to be something good, and it really was. And then 20 years later, or whenever, I made my appearance on The Wrestler up in those. I was like, my appearance on The Wrestler for 5 minutes of fame. Come on, like,
yeah, can't be moments like that. You can't.
No, you can't. You can't. I mean, like the wrestling that they brought to the table, it really was a hardcore style, but technical, and they really could show you what they had. I mean, they had wrestlers from Ring of Honor before Ring of Honor really, Ring of Honor was Ring of Honor, and you had like the guys like the Carnage crew. Actually, one of the guys is coming on my podcast this Sunday, but I'll plug that later.
Nice. Yeah, I was a big fan of the Carnage crew. Them, Hit Squad back in the days.
The Hit Squad.
Yeah, the SATs,
I saw a post out there on Twitter that they might be making their return.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Huh. They've
been
one of my
favorite tag teams back in the days, man. They were great. I love that Spanish Fly.
Yes, yeah, they were the innovators of it. I mean, yeah, them and Trent Acid and what was his name?
Johnny Cashmere.
Yeah, the Backseat Boys.
Yeah. I remember when the Backseat Boys used to have a feud with Joey Mercury and who was the other guy? They were a tag team together in York and Matthews. I remember the Backseat Boys used to tour like all over the United States, and that was like the traveling feud. I remember reading about that in PWI and WoW magazines back then. And then watching guys live, it was like, wow. Oh, that's
and I got to see them actually get really like their early days of wrestling. Like both teams actually at a local promotion was called Phoenix Championship Wrestling in Toms River, New Jersey, which really brought in the mid '90s, really brought all the stars of, to the table, to the wrestling ring, from Jay Lethal to Samoa Joe, AJ Styles to Seven from the Wall and WCW character. Like everybody would come through the door. Even Eddie Guerrero even walked through the door. Like I got to see Eddie Guerrero face Nova. Like, come on.
Yeah,
and I know. History, man. It was a shame. Like I always say, how the promoters was, the brother of the Nova, actually, of ECW, which was, and then his brother was running along with his brother would be training at the school, Iron Mike Sharp's wrestling school in Brick Township, which brought in a lot of stars, which was awesome back in the day.
Yeah, I tell you, man, New Jersey is one of those states a lot of people overlook. I don't know why, because you could just literally just walk up and hit a tree and like 10,000 wrestlers fall out. Like it's one of the states that so many come out, man.
Or you traveled to Philadelphia and actually I remember that they would it was called Pro Wrestling Unplugged, PWU.
Yeah.
Before that, I mean that brought some real recognition to wrestling, like really like made wrestling awesome in Philadelphia area, because you got your ECW, you're in the building, but then it's like you got the wrestlers who are going to show you a match. It's my God, and then they bring all kinds of wrestling to that place as well, and like I'll never forget like going to like a crazy 8 match, like in a cage, like there's ropes on us, like what the hell is this shit? It's like they're doing like a gladiator style kind of school gym kind of war, challenge, like how CZW used to, how Seat Combat Zone Wrestling actually used to wrestle out of there too, and they would have the full size ring cage around the whole, on the floor.
Yeah, I remember that one cage of death. I know exactly what you're talking about. That was wild. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Man, and I can't wait for them to come back eventually. They will. It's been dead, but yeah, they'll be back.
Oh yeah.
Timing for everything, man. It's
Like I said, it's for a lot of companies. 2020 they're trying to make their comeback, and there's some. I feel like 2021 we're going to see the most emergence with the company. They're going to take their opportunity and try. So, yeah, I'm hoping for 2021 to be the year of the comeback for wrestling. Against all the stuff that we dealt with this year. So
yeah, absolutely. Let me ask you this: who are your favorite wrestlers growing up? Ooh, I love doing like mixing it up now.
With me growing up, was always a big fan of Great Kabuki, Muda. Loved Terry Funk. Terry as babyface was great, but Terry as like the 1989-1990 full blown heel, when he's like he's got the plastic bag around Ric Flair's face and power driving him through a table, like that was like you just like, oh my god, it's crazy, but it was great. I was always a fan of like the over the top heels as a kid growing up. I was never like, I like Hogan as a kid, but then after a while, like you see like Great Muda, and it's like instantly changes your whole perspective of wrestling. Like, okay.
Let me tell you Hogan's story. How I walked away from a signing. Well, he was desperate. It was one time he was getting his divorce. It was around that time. Well, he came up to Forked River, New Jersey for like a signing at a restaurant. He was charging $200. I walked away. $200 for an autograph. You got to be kidding me! Like me, my dad looked at me like, "Wow, this is really." He's desperate. Like lost my business. Yeah.
He'd easily made more money if he just did it as $50. $50, you get a photo with him on your cell phone and then an autograph 8x10.
Yeah.
People would sign up for that in a heartbeat. Yeah, $50. Yeah, be glad to do it. And it would have made more money than just, the 10 fans who paid for $200. If you get like a whole line of people, like $50, yeah, let's go meet Hogan. He's a childhood hero to so many guys and girls,
Yeah,
so,
but yet you think about it, he runs a restaurant. Come on, like really, or a store, whatever. Come on,
his little memorabilia store.
Yeah. But yeah, okay. Keep on going with after Hogan. We were talking. Okay.
Yeah, it's like Muda. The match that really made me know like I wanted to be in wrestling as a young kid. It was Pillman versus Jushin Liger. First time seeing that, and it was the Super Brawl pay-per-view. And because when I was growing up, I was like, because I always told people like, I want to be a wrestler when I grow up. And everybody's like, oh, you're too small. And now I'm like 6'4", 250 pounds. But back then when you were a kid, like everybody thinks like, yeah, you got to be like Hogan. You got to be like all jacked up on roids.
Yeah.
And then when I saw Liger and Pillman wrestle, I was like, wow, if they can do this, and that's not a knock on them saying they can do this. It was just one of those like, okay, they're not Hogan size, but they're freaking amazing wrestlers. Like I want to do this,
It's like the Von Erichs, like when they had their wrestling, back in their day in WCW. Like my God, they really tore it down as like the Von Erich really, they would showcase like what they had, man.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, the power of Kerry, and Kevin had all the high flying moves back in the days before anybody was really doing that stuff. David was a technical wrestler. I mean, had them against the Freebirds. Oh man, that's money. Love World Class. That's one of my all time favorite promotions. Funny you actually mentioned that. I've been talking to Mickey Grant, who was actually the guy who created World Class. He's actually on social media. We've been talking about trying to do like some type of collaboration with him coming over to do like at least one show with us as a producer and have that on television, just to say like, hey, Mickey Grant from World Class actually came back and did this with Chicago, which I'm hoping we could seal the deal on that for 2021. But that'll be awesome, man. Yeah, World Class is like, you talk about a promotion that highly influenced wrestling. I mean, Mickey Grant, when he came up with the idea of World Class with Fritz and Gary Hart, it was like, hey, instead of showing the older guys, we'll show all these young guys and get the demographic for the rock and roll type fans. Instead of having no music, let's use rock music. And let's do montage videos and training videos and all this other stuff and make your guys look bigger than life. And you think about this, when he created that, Vince McMahon took all of that ideas and used it for World Wrestling Federation, and made his guys bigger than life because Fritz didn't know what he had in front of him. It was so revolutionary for its time. And, when I look at Chicagoland, when people watch our product, definitely with how our guys do their promos, we do kind of like the old school montage things or bigger than life characters and stuff like that, because it's like, hey, that's what I remember when wrestling was fun. Everybody wants to be ultra serious, and that's great. I think the in-ring products still be ultra serious, but you also want to have fun when you're watching the show too, and be entertained by it. So anytime
you want to catch the eye of the fans. You want to be like, hey, this guy's going to be a rock. He's going to become like a metalhead punk rocker, coming out to the ring and, big shoulder pad, this and that, like a big shiny gear. And then you're like, who's this other guy, man? What a creep this guy, like who's this,
Absolutely. Prime example, we have a guy on our roster named Rockstar Johnny Nye. And what makes Johnny so great, his gimmick is really him. He's a rock musician outside of being a wrestler, and he's actually really good at singing and playing guitar. And he has a band that actually performs with him. So his entrance song is actually him. And it's different. You don't see that much in wrestling nowadays. The guys doing that.
You should bring him into like the building one night only. Like have him, play.
We're actually
thinking about. Yeah, that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, we're thinking about actually having him and his band do a battle of the bands with our theme show. Is produced by Thunder Driver, which is a really good wrestling heavy metal band. And we're actually, I talked to both those guys, like, you guys ever think about doing like a battle of the bands one night? And they're like, that'd be freaking awesome, man, because like he's bigger, he's a heel, he's bigger than life villain. What's more better than babyface rock band versus this guy who's like supposed to be the biggest jerk in the world. So it writes itself,
Yeah, that's awesome.
So having characters, man, is what makes me love wrestling. And so when I work with a lot of these guys on ideas, hey, try to do something a little different from what you're doing from other places, and it stands out.
Let me ask you this: a guy named Sloman Stone?
Oh, Solomon Stone? Yeah.
Oh man, he's watching us right now. Shout out to him, man. He's a character. I love his character. He's a great wrestler as well. Needs to come everywhere,
Well, he'll be on Chicagoland for all the fans at home that want to watch Amazon Prime. Solomon Stone, the Gold Rush, the casino owner, the man with the money. Really honestly, he's a modern day $1 million man, and I love it.
Yes, he is. He's always doing promos out of his luxurious poolside
his hotel, his casinos, and all the other great places that no one else have any access to. So
no, because they use their nice green. It's a little private for the fans not to really know. A little green screen action, right? A little magic of the moment, which I need to play with that more. I have not used that in quite a while.
Oh man, you do some magical stuff with the green screen, that's for sure.
Yeah, so much fun. That's like one of those things you have to have in a podcast. Catch people's attention. I got to do that one day. Pull it up and like wrestling or something in the background, wrestlers or something stupid.
Oh yeah.
I'll play with that eventually. I should have done that tonight We should have done that with our logo. Your logo. I was thinking. I didn't even think of it. Like have that in the background. That would be cool. Next time.
Hey, next time you have me on, maybe we'll do that. So yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Solomon's going to be a big star. That's another guy that you just look at him until he's different. He's different from the average guy on the indies that are just, oh, what's your gimmick, kid? Oh, well, I wear black trunks and do flips. Okay. What about you? Next kid. Oh, well, I also wear black trunks and do flips. And it's kind of like, okay, there's nothing that separates these guys. And then when you meet people like Solomon Stone, it's like, what is your whole shtick? Oh, this is what I do. And this is what I produce. It's like, wow, okay, that's different, but that's a good different.
That's what I like. That's how I find talent. I scout on the internet or Facebook. I'll like who's gonna be like a breakout, who has an attitude, who has who do I want to have my podcast, and it's a way to get talent out there.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, I agree. Another group of guys we got pretty entertaining is Youth Gone Wild. Tom Heisman and Matt Creed. They're kind of like if you take the Road Warriors, but then you mix them with the Rockers. It's like that type of illegitimate love child that comes out of it, and that's those two kids. And they're really good. They did a promo video that was similar to how the Blues Brothers was. Remember that movie, The Blues Brothers? When one leaves Joliet State Prison, it was literally shot for shot, like the same way. And it was great. You got to definitely check out that promo. It's on our Facebook page.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as well. We'll be having them on the podcast very soon as well. We got some things we're gonna line some people up, fans. So you'll be checking that out very, very soon.
Good deal. Yeah. There's so much good talent out there. There really is.
And of course, female as well. We can't leave that to females talents as well.
Well, I'll tell you what. There's a young lady that has been doing quite a phenomenal job here in the Midwest. Sky Blue is someone that I will say right now, she'll end up being a big star in either WWE or AEW, a matter of time. Good kid, humble, hardworking, and she can flat out, she can wrestle. She's really talented. So every time I watch her wrestle, I'm like, all right, she's just a year or two away from getting that big break and going somewhere that's going to really elevate her. So yeah, talking about female talent, she's really good. Kylie Ray, I think is actually a really good talent.
She is such a wrestler, man. She's great. First time I caught her actually was at Freelance Wrestling Chicago when I did a GCW Chicago show. The very first one we did, it's like we traveled and they did a comparing, show. She was on it. It was great. She just lit the room up, Yeah.
She just has that personality on top of her ring ability. And it's like, you can't help but actually be a fan of her work. She's really good.
Actually, that was a bar, the Chicago bar there, that would close down, and then it went downhill, and then it reopened after, I think.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Yeah, you've probably been to the GCW shows and Summit as well, too, haven't you?
Nah. I haven't. My friends have.
Yeah. I remember when they were doing that. So, and then it looks like Game Changers plan to go do some Indiana shows pretty soon, too.
Yes, this weekend, Labor Day weekend. They got the big park there, the big outdoor, really nice field and setting. It's going to be great. And because I think they're in conjunction with AIW, like I was saying. AIW. Yeah. Yeah,
the promotion out of Cleveland, Ohio area.
Absolute intense wrestling.
Yeah.
That's a good company. They bring out some good talent. You don't see like it's really catching from the beginning. It was like really awesome to see like Danhausen and like all these just whoever they would bring in the door.
Yeah, then they always do the memorial tournament for JT Lightning. the JT Lighton Memorial Tournament. That's what it is. Yeah, the Memorial Tournament. And all that great talent in one night, 2-night show. It's like, man. And so who's who of wrestling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They do all that, and they, it's just great, man. Wrestling's going to be 20, and it's just announced the relaunch of Game Changers Collective is coming back. Spring break and all that. That's good. Like a lot of promotions are going to have a great weekend. That's going to be a banging show. That was like WrestleMania all together. Remember that? They really collide. They really brought an impact. I didn't go to them. I was jealous when they were in Jersey because, at tour season, I didn't want to be stuck in the, I would sit home and watch it on TV.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely been trying to get on the boardwalks and everything, So, Oh yeah.
But now, man, what are you thinking of? Do you like the product of AEW? Let's talk AEW, man.
For most part, I won't knock them. Like they do have a lot of great talent on their roster. Like they have, compared to most independent promotions, they have kind of like the who's who of all stars on there.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like sometimes they just need a little bit more direction with what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Or do you feel the same way? 'Cause I feel like they have good matches, but like sometimes they just have a good match for the sake of just having a good match, instead of having like a real big build up and make you actually want to invest your money to watch someone get the revenge, or someone just gets busted wide open for the sake of just getting color on television. And it's like, okay, well, what's this lead to? Oh, nothing. Oh, okay. And I always feel like if you're going to do how wrestling is always done properly is build it up, make people want to go watch it, make sure there's a reason why John Moxley gets his hands on Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
And then maybe it's just maybe an old school guy, but I've always felt like the storytelling is missing with a lot of companies, and I feel the same way with some of the WWE's product too. Sometimes they just do an angle, they get rid of the angle as quick as they can. And there's like no real proper build up for that to happen, But I do think the athletic portion of AEW is amazing. I mean, you got like Pentagon, got Phoenix. Of course, you have Eddie Kingston is now part of the roster. I'm a huge Eddie Kingston guy. I think Eddie Kingston's one of the best talkers we've had in wrestling.
He really can talk. He's one of those guys. Like, man, I'm glad he got it to where he is, because he deserves, he's that kind of character, and really worked his way up the ladder for years, and was like, always the underdog of a wrestling promotion. Just like got under the skin of guys, and just built his name up.
I remember watching him in Chicago, and this is like back in like 2002, 2003, and a lot of people were like, I don't see nothing in him. But there was something about him that you're like, I don't know. I just think within a couple of years, he'll be one of those guys that everyone will talk about. Then he had that feud with Larry Sweeney. And him and Larry Sweeney had such a
good old Larry. Man, that guy was a great character. I love a great character, man.
He was his biggest problem, in my opinion, was he was born in the wrong time period. Like if he was wrestling in the 80s, he would have been like the biggest thing walking in Memphis, man. He was like everyone. He would have been one of the greatest villains that Jerry Lawler could ever work against. Like he was just would have been money. He was just meant to be. He was an 80s, 90s guy, stuck in the world of 2000s.
He was. When I got to see him, talk to him ringside, like he did a show at a charity show, and man, he was racking it up because the promotion we actually had, they didn't have a ring bell on hand. And what they used was like a cigarette lid, like one of those metal trash can lids, and a wrench. And my God, he got a kick out of it. It was funny. I'll dig that footage out. You'd get a kick out of that.
Yeah, send me the footage of that. I'll have to definitely watch this, because I've seen companies forget ring bells before, and it's like, oh, okay. I remember we had a show in Kentucky once, and they've got the ring bell, and so one of the announcers, he would like hold the microphone, he'll look away, and he go, ding ding. And everybody's like, well, was that him doing after the bell? I'm like, yeah, there was no ring bell. It was just like,
Actually, we had a cowbell at a wrestling show one time. I did. Lucky I had for a death match. We had a tournament going on, and I had a cowbell, the party cowbell. That was the bell.
Is that the Saturday Night Live sketch, more cowbell? You know?
Yeah. But man, it's great.
But that's the AEW thing. Yeah, like when they signed Kingston, that was a good move. That was a smart move. You know, you have a guy now that's a believable brawler. He's a good parker. Mm-hmm. You know, he's got the ability to talk fans into the stands. Mm-hmm. And Cody Rhodes is great. I think really the MVP of AEW in my book has been Cody. Because he's been in all the programs that made you want to watch. Mm-hmm. And his feuds actually has made sense. Like, you know, the stuff with him and MJF and
I can't stand that guy. Oh, what douchebag business. Can't stand him.
So you're not an MJF fan at all?
No, I've had my share of blockage on Twitter with him. I've had my wars with him in the past at CZW. Yes, I was that. I remember when he was the first person to bring in, you know, the banning of the toilet paper. And I tossed it at him. You know, come on, like really? I'm going to get my lawyers involved, and it's me and him had a little Twitter out. I got him good though. You know, I remember it said I took a dump in your parents' bathroom. You know, blocked me. Yeah, okay. It was great. It was all over. I had a lot of views that day. That's funny.
Yeah, I had a friend that once messaged him, and he's like, hey, man, anybody ever tell you look like a Disney prince? And I don't know why this kid said this to him. And MJF's like, hey, kid, anybody ever tells you look like a virgin for life? And I was just like, wow. That's a classic good burn comeback, but just, yeah, he definitely lives his gimmick. That's
he does. Sure. Yeah, more talk than wrestling. But that's him. That's his style. But you know what? Wrestler-wise, also, you know, really good talent, man. And I wish that they would bring him, you know, show as, you know, I like the Lucha Brothers. Yes. I liked Luchasaurus. I like Marco Stunt. There's a kid who's really phenomenal, man. Like, he has something special that should be really brought more to the table.
And also, I'm glad to see the revival that's on AEW now being used properly. Mm-hmm. So, like, yeah, they have a roster of guys that can do some magic with. It's just a matter of time and moments that they have to create.
Mm-hmm. It's like Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss. That's something they can have. That title's coming. You know, I just want to see good things happen. You know, Joey can go solo, and Sonny could go solo, and all these other people. You know, but then your female talent. My God, they got some good female wrestlers. Like, look who's on it. Like, everybody. Anna Jay is like the big pop. You know, Anna, whatever her name is now, making the scene. Skylar Moore. My God, she was like independent wrestling, like hidden gems. You know what I mean? Like, these wrestlers were like doing things before wrestling was wrestling. You know?
Yeah, the Japanese female talent's pretty good too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
They have a very unique roster. That is for sure.
Mm-hmm. And then now we go fast forward in WWE's. It was like, okay. Period. It dropped dead for quite a while. You know, like I like it, but then I hate it. You know.
Let me ask you this question: as a promoter to a guy who's a wrestling fan, let me ask you this: and what is it to you that made you want to not watch WWE, or at least the main product? Not everybody likes NXT, but for the main product, what made you say, it's Monday night, I'm going to go play video games, or I'm going to go drink a beer and watch, some TV show instead of this? What to you? What makes a guy like yourself, your friends, and everybody else who are lifelong fans? What made you just turn off the program and say, no?
it's just the magic wasn't there anymore. Like the product was just going downhill after Triple H, just went just whatever. I just didn't like what they were doing, and I just shut it off, and that's it.
Now, I will say this: I do believe the NXT product is pretty darn good.
You know what? I'm going to say congratulations to somebody who just got signed, one of my friends, and he's a wrestler from the Combat Zone Wrestling, and he's GCW's top superstar, and just an all-around great guy. He's going to be really good in the company. His name is Joe Gacy.
Yeah, I heard about Joe got signed. That's good for him. Another guy that's been on the independents forever, and now he's finally getting the chance to showcase how good he was. I remember like a lot of people think Joe Gacy was just a deathmatch guy, but really Joe can do strong style and he can do technical and everything else. Like he was a very good, well-rounded, talent. So good for him. Good for him.
But yeah, like I said, the product just went downhill. I'll watch NXT when it's because you know who's on there and they're going to make a name and an impact.
Yeah. To me, really. When I have a good friend, Jesse, big shout out to Jesse Mays, by the way. He'll always message me like, "Hey, what are you watching recently?" And I'll tell him all the time, "It's like, man, I really don't watch a lot of the main stuff on television anymore. It's like I'll go on the network, I'll watch a lot of the old school stuff, I'll watch a lot of the stuff in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s was pretty solid for what it was, and then I'll watch more of the independent stuff and stuff in Japan. I'm just." A lot of the stuff that's on TV right now, like I'm with you on this. It's just I know they're trying their best, but they're just not creating any real new stars. Like John Cena was like the last real major superstar they really created, but now recently they really have not pushed anybody into that level of the next Hogan, And I honestly, God, believe that. I think the company's lost their track on creating superstars.
And to them for trying to create like the virtual, come on, that was kind of like weird, virtual fans all across the, like, come on.
Yeah, some of the weird people that would come on their screens and they had like a beheading video and the Klansmen and everything else. I was just like,
they had actually a couple of guys. Yeah, Kenny Omega was on there.
yeah. I saw that. I was just like,
game changer. GCW's logo made it on there. So, hey.
Did you see the Fire Velveteen Dream? Okay. So he's Velveteen's in supposedly some type of heated, either it's real or not. I'm not sure. But there was a fan that had like, they're sitting there and they're like, hey, they're applauding. And all of a sudden their sign came up. It was like Fire Velveteen Dream. And I was just like, oh my God! Like that's they waited on the right time to make sure that was seen on the main cam. So man.
I didn't even watch the pay-per-view. I just heard about the ring clap. I saw the footage of the ring claps, and you're like, oh, here we go again, a remake from Mark Henry and Big Show.
Yeah. Also, Big Show and Lesnar did it too as well. Yeah. I kind of knew that was going to happen. Like, and ring collapses. Okay.
Yeah. Here we go. And then, wow, big deal. Brock Lesnar. Wow, quit the business. Yeah, we'll see where he shut. Yeah. Oh, you gonna go to AEW? I don't think so. No.
I think what he's going to do, he's going to go another round of UFC. Supposedly there's supposed to be a dream fight. It's supposed to be John Jones versus Brock Lesnar. So, I wonder how that's going to work out, but be interesting. It'll be a good ticket seller. I'll say that about UFC. They'll make money off that fight.
Yeah, but will I watch the next pay-per-view? Probably not for WWE. I'll be watching the next AEW All Out. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
I'll be watching that. I'll keep my eye on that. It's going to be good.
So, in your opinion, who do you think is the next big superstar in wrestling that's not in WWE or AEW that you feel like has that potential to be a big ticket seller?
Sure. There's so many guys I could say on the scene. You just keep your eyes open. I don't know. Just talent that's really pushing their. I've seen, on the circuit, and like from my neck of the woods, like the Jersey side or the out west Midwest. Well, of course you really have Mance Warner, who really shows what he can.
Yeah.
That's one of the guys that I would really like to see more on TV.
I always got a very strong Steve Austin vibe off of him, and that's a compliment to him.
Yeah.
It's just when you see him, you're like, that's not a gimmick. That's just him being himself, and that's the best gimmick there is. Because when you just
and reliving how he says WCW in his promos, come on, like
yeah.
But there's other guys too as well. You have your just so many guys. Like you go up, the list is so big. We know it. It's just so many guys.
I'll tell you a guy that always felt like that could have been, if put in a different perspective of outside of doing deathmatch wrestling, which I'm not knocking death matches. I enjoy a good death match once in a while. Mm-hmm. But I feel like if he was in a TV studio style wrestling atmosphere, I think Matt Tremont would have been amazing because there's something about him. I can't really explain it. It's just he's real. He's real.
Let me tell you this: he's going to have one more match, and that's it. Yeah. He's done. He's hanging up the boots, but he's still going to be running a promotion, which is awesome.
He's one of the nicest guys I've ever met. I met him at the Masters of Pain tournament for IWA East Coast when they were in West Virginia, and that's the year that he won it.
I'm sure you saw that post. Did you see that? Like, did you see the post where he says he's like, he's so that's telling you it's time to just focus on the wrestling, like help out and help these kids get where they need to go. Yeah. My God, he does a great thing for wrestling. He really brings in these young talent that are working their way up the ladder. They'll be on TV, like make a name for themselves.
And he's such a genuine nice guy. Like there's a lot of guys in the wrestling business have that fake niceness to him. Like, he's nice, but he's only nice for a reason. He's like one of those guys, like he's the boy next door, from Jersey. He's just a kid who's like, hey man, you want to go, throw a football around the backyard? You just want to go like watch a paper? He reminds me of that kid. He's a bigger than life personality, but he's just a genuine, real deal. And I think that
I'll tell you what, he's a good friend. Like really, like a wrestler who I've known and seen wrestle, and like gone to his merchandise store when it was around. My God, like it was great to see him, be able to talk to what got me into, what got him into wrestling and how I got hooked on his company, H2O, and then like all these other companies and watch him at wrestlings and Kings of the Deaths. And my God, I've been there, I've seen him and, dance around the world almost.
I always wanted to see him in a TV studio wrestling atmosphere. Just to see how he would do, because I think as a promo, he's such a natural talker because he's just being himself, and I honestly think that he would have he would really went out there and killed it,
Yeah,
and done a great job. Absolutely.
But unfortunately, I will not be at I just getting my ticket. I won't be front row for it. October or September, actually, a couple weeks. They're going to have their Hustlemania. But in October, I will be seeing him for 2 nights only. We're going to be doing a Danny Havoc a Danny Havoc championship show. It's going to be an extravaganza. It's going to be presented a new title, and just it's going to be awesome. It's going to be so. I think that's his final dance around the world, and close the book on that. For himself. But other wrestlers, it's going to be amazing. 16 competitors go in to win the prestige of the title of Hardcore Hustle Organization. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely does. And in memory of a great guy in Danny Havoc, So, yeah, man.
But anyway, my gosh, we could talk for hours and hours. Let's close this out and have a good night and relax for the weekend. How's that?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
But let me, while we're up here, let's see if I still have that graphic. Can we do this 3-way? Let me see if I can test this out. Let's see if I can do it, fans. Bring that here. Oh, let's promote your show here. Let that just blink and blink and blink.
Yeah, absolutely. Let everybody knows if you're watching this podcast, you're in Northwest Indiana and Chicago area. Come out October 3rd, 2020, Michigan City, Indiana. We're going to be at the American Legion 451. We will have, of course, social distancing rules in place to keep fans safe. Wear a mask as well. And on top of that, we'll be checking everyone's temperature at the door. So to make sure everyone is safe and sound. Main event, we're going to have a three-way dance for the Chicagoland Championship Wrestling Heavyweight title. Marche Rocket versus Garrison Creed versus Chris Logan. On top of that, we got Chris Jones versus Rockstar Johnny Nye. Yo-Yo versus Miles Mercer. No Coast versus the Tribunal, which is Paragon and Big Chris Moore. On top of that, we have Toli Bertarelli, Mr. Made for TV, actor from Chicago PD, teamed up with our good friend Solomon Stone as they take on the Feast of Greatness. On top of all of that, we have the Ewok defending the UHC crown against Zeke Kickham, and that's going to be like a no-holds-barred fight. So that's going to be one of those matches like anything can go. There's just so much action on that card alone. And on top of it, we're going to have podium interviews, fan interactions. So like it's fun for everybody. It's a good family show. So definitely show up. Tickets are only $10 for general admission. We also have a family 4-pack. So for 4 people, it's only cost you $30. Can't beat that price. So show up in a group of people, have a good time. Also on the card, we're also got Brave and Fett versus Jackson P. Larkin. That's going to be a slugfest. If anybody else wants to check out our stuff, go to ChicagolandChampionshipWrestling.com. We still have some tickets available to purchase. Check us out on Facebook, Chicagoland Championship Wrestling, and also our Instagram page, CC Wrestling Entertainment. And as a promoter, I try to be the most friendliest guy on earth. Hit me up anytime you have a question about the show or anything you want to know, and we'll be glad to talk to you and make sure you have a great time with your friends and family.
Well, check out this. Blah, 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 blah. I always do that. Blah, 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 blah. No, fans, check it out. Be there. Be there in attendance. I wish I could travel, and I'll keep my distance, and I'll be checking some footage somewhere else. I'm sure I could get some. I'll be getting some hookups. I'm sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, for Deathmatch, I also want to give this shout out too. Ladies and gentlemen, this is John Bullard from Chicagoland Championship Wrestling. If you want the best podcast of all podcasts, check out my guy right here, Deathmatch Wrestle Podcast, the best podcast in all the land of wrestling.
Let's get you back in the picture before we. That was bad. I had a double-sided. Take 2. See.
Want me to do that again for you?
Do it. Hit it.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is John Bullard from Chicagoland Championship Wrestling, the owner and operator, letting every one of you know, if you want to watch the best podcast in all the land of professional wrestling, check out Deathmatch Wrestle Podcast, where the violence is always great, the questions are always hard, and if you want the action, he'll bring it right to you.
Fans, I would edit that. I think that's going to be on my new reel. I like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I want to say thank you so much, John, for coming on tonight. And
hey, thanks for having us on the show, man.
Anytime you want to come back on, you're more than welcome to.
Absolutely.
And we'll be doing some, but fans, you know what? Maybe we still got time, and John might pull some guys to bring on my podcast. So stay tuned.
Yeah, I'll let the talent definitely know to hit you up and be on the show. Absolutely.
But what do I got coming up? What does Deathmatch Wrestle have coming up? I am like on fire, or I'm taking a break. I don't know what I'm doing. Days on podcasting, I'll tell you what, you could have your good days where you want to just not do a damn thing. That's pretty cool about being a host of your own show. Isn't that great? Like you could just say, all right, do I want a show tonight? No. Do I want to be on another show? No. Boy, I got to look at names here. I'm bad with who I have on this week. Let me see here. Who just messaged me? Who is this? I gotta promote this because I just said about Hustlemania and he's making his debut. hang on here, folks. Gosh. I want to say, fans, check out HC Loc. LOC will be on the Deathmatch Wrestling podcast this Sunday at 8 p.m. as he will be facing Stockade at H2O's Hustlemania this next pay-per-view, September the 12th. Fans, check that out on IWTV and so much more. It's going to be a great night of wrestling. And that's it. That's a wrap. Good night, everyone.
Absolutely.
Let's see what I can do here. I got to close all this stuff out. Bring my banners back in. Do this. And we're out of here. Oops. Uh-oh.
All right, man. Thank you for having me on the show once again, brother.
Absolutely. Let me close this sucker out. I'm looking for what I need. There it is. Good night.
You can find more Deathmatch Wrestle podcasts on the following social media. DeathmatchWrestle.com. Follow on Twitter at DavidNJ32 and on Facebook. Facebook.com/DJDaveNJ32.
Instagram at DavidNJ36.
Hey, wrestling fans. I want to mention Collar and Elbow. Collar and Elbow was founded on traditional values of professional wrestling. Two entities working together to create a product intended to connect with people on an emotional level. A symbiotic relationship where one cannot flourish without the other. We strive to create a product that embodies our passion for professional wrestling expressed through street fashion. Visit collarandelbowbrand.com and use the promo code Deathmatch Wrestle Podcast and save 10% off when you make a purchase. Collar and Elbow, where wrestling passion meets street fashion. Me on Podcast City Network at podcastcity.net, facebook.com/Podcast City Network. Hit the like button and share. And on Twitter at Podcast City Net. You can hear Deathmatch Wrestle Podcast on Stitcher Radio and on iTunes.